So I got some hot water in this pot and I'm going to get it started on a medium boil. And I'm going to add this ham hock to it and get it simmering, and that's going to be for my greens. Next I'm going to start making my stuffing. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter to my pan and get it heated on medium heat. In this bowl I have 1 onion diced and 1 pound of mushrooms sliced. And I'm not making your traditional bread stuffing because celery is out of season, so it's too expensive. So I'm going to make a creamy wild rice and mushroom stuffing using heavy cream, wild rice, barley, and brown rice. Alright, now that the butter has melted and the pan has heated up, I'm going to add my onions. And I'm going to let those caramelize. In my rice cooker, I'm going to go ahead and add my grains. So I just need to measure this out to see how much I'm going to add. I'm going to start off with the brown rice. So that's about 2 cups of brown rice there. Now I'm going to measure out the wild rice. We got 1 cup of wild rice, so we have 3 cups of rice total now. And let's see how much barley we have. 1, 2. So we have 5 cups of grains. That means we're going to need 10 cups of liquid. And actually we'll have some liquid from the vegetables too, so we might not need so much. So to this stuffing I'm going to add some parsley, about a tablespoon of parsley, about a tablespoon of marjoram, and about a teaspoon of savory, and about one teaspoon of sage. Mix that up. Now I'm going to add, we need about 10 cups of liquid. Let's do, I'll do 10 cups. So first we're going to add our cream. That's about 2 cups there. Now we're going to add our vegetable stock. And I'm going to do 2 cups there. then, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's what it's like with 10 cups of liquid. Mix that up. This just smells so good. Our onions are browning up nicely. Now I'm going to cut about another 2 tablespoons of butter and add it to the rice cooker. These onions smell so good, getting nice and golden. I think it's safe to go ahead and add the mushrooms now. I think I'm going to put a lid on that to like make the mushrooms kind of steam a little bit. That's probably good enough. They'll cook more when they're in the rice. So this is kind of like a risotto, which just basically means rice in Italian. Okay, so now we're going to add these mushrooms and onions to our rice cooker. Look at that, doesn't that look yummy? So now what we want to do is plug in our rice cooker and just let that cook on high until the rice is done, and then we can stuff our bird with it. Now in the sink I have some kale. I have 2 bunches of kale that have been soaking in cold salt water, and now I'm going to cut up this kale for the greens. And then I chopped up the kale. Sorry, I had the camera at the wrong angle, but I chopped up the kale into small pieces. Okay, let's see how this stuffing is. It smells so good. It looks delicious too. I'm going to take a bite of it. It doesn't look like it's fully cooked, so I might have to add some more fluid to it. Yeah, it needs a little more liquid. So I'm going to add let's do 6 more cups. And mix that up. Close it up and cook it. That ham hock still needs some more time, but I'm going to add some more water to the pot since it's getting kind of low. And let it boil some more. Alright, I think the stuffing is done. Yes, look at that. Delicious. I'm gonna take another bite. I think it could use a little salt though. So I'm gonna add about 1 teaspoon of salt. And just mix that up there. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug this because we need it to cool down before we can stuff our turkey. That just looks so yummy. So I have this, let's see how many pounds this is. This is a nearly 14-pound turkey. And we gotta get it out of its package here. I see some feathers are still on it, so we'll have to pluck out those feathers. I think I'm going to use my boning tweezers to pluck out those feathers. The feathers seem to be mostly on the back of the bird. So, or the side here. I'll pull those out. This is a really nifty little kitchen gadget. I use this to pull fish bones out of fish. And it's working really well for feathers too. And I'm pulling out the innards. Pull out the neck. Make sure there's nothing else in there. I've still got a little bit of ice in there, so we're going to have to run some water through. Okay, it's pretty clean. Let's run some water through it. Cold water, of course. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this in our pan. We're going to start out by putting it in backside up. That way we can season the backside. And I'm going to throw the neck in there too, but I'm going to save the livers and stuff for another day. Okay, now it's time to season up the bird. I'm going to first rub it down with olive oil. Now I'm going to sprinkle on some parsley. some sage, some marjoram, or marjoram. I think I'm going to use a little rosemary too. Just a little, I don't have much. And some savory. And then some garlic powder. I like to have it nice and garlicky. And some salt. And just rub that around on the bird. Now typically I brine my turkeys, but I didn't have enough room in my fridge, so I had to thaw this out in the community center. And I wanted to cook this quickly because I don't want it to get too hot to where I can't stand to cook it, because cooking a turkey really heats up the house. So I don't want it to be like a long time before I cook this turkey. So all the same seasonings on the other side. Oh, I forgot some olive oil. So we need some olive oil. Rub that around. And if you got juices from the turkey in the pan, that's fine, because we have a rice stuffing, so we're going to want that to be as moist as possible. In fact, we should probably cook the bird with the lid on for the most part, and then take the lid off when we're trying to brown the skin. Okay. Now it's time. First we're gonna fold back these wings. And now it's time to stuff the bird. This stuffing smells so good. Okay, now we gotta put our legs in the little thing that holds them together. And then we gotta add the rest of our stuffing to the pan. Try to get some under the bird too. In fact, I should have probably put some under the bird before I put the bird in there. Try to prop up the legs with the stuffing. I'm gonna lift up the front part. Add some stuffing in there. It's made like the perfect amount of stuffing. And now it's time to preheat the oven. So I'm going to start the oven temperature at 325 and then we'll raise the temperature as we cook it. And this ham hock could use a little more water, so I'm going to add a little more water to it. Alright, our oven is done preheating, so I'm going to put the lid on our turkey. It can barely fit. That's a big turkey. I think it's still going to hold the steam in there though. Okay, and now I'm going to throw the turkey in the oven. I think I need to move up the rack. And then I'm going to set the timer for 2 hours. With this ham hock, I'm going to sieve off any foam. It's starting to get more tender. It's not quite falling apart yet, but it's starting to get there. Okay, our ham hock's starting to fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and add our greens. I think I need to add a little more water. So I have a couple oranges here and I'm going to squeeze the juice into the greens. I don't have any lemons and I think oranges might give a good flavor. It'll make it a little sweet. And I have a nice hot chili here. I'm just gonna break it up and throw it in. Now I'm gonna take all my kale and add it to the pot. And I was watching another YouTuber's channel, and I'll check my history to see what her name was, but she made some greens and I'm using her method for making the greens. She made them a little differently, of course, but it just made so much more sense to make them her way. So I'm using her method, and I'll leave her channel link down below, so check her out. I'm going to add some of this Cajun seasoning. About a teaspoon. Looks like I'm emptying the rest of it. And I want to add some more meat to this, so I'm going to use a can of pork meat. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the juices in there because the juices will have some flavor. But I'm going to try and break up that meat before I add it. You just want to let those simmer until they get nice and tender. Probably until the bird's done. So I forgot to add some garlic to the greens, and I normally add garlic to the greens. So I'm adding 4 cloves of chopped garlic to the greens. And I've got the greens at a simmer right now. And pretty soon here, probably in about half an hour, I'm going to pull the ham hock out of the greens and break up the meat. Let's check on that ham hock, see how it's doing. Oh yeah, that ham hock's starting to get nice and tender. In fact, it's just falling apart. I'm gonna let it stay in there for a little longer though. I gave these a taste test. They are really tasty and really spicy. I don't know what kind of chili that is I used. I think it's a Thai chili, but it's really hot. Alright, now it's time to take the cover off the turkey. Ooh, it smells so good. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh, yum. Now we're gonna brush it with butter. Don't be afraid to just smother it with butter. I've got 1 stick of butter melted in here. And then we're gonna even get some butter on that dressing. Okay. Now we're gonna pop it back in the oven. And turn the heat up to 425. And set the timer for 30 minutes. I guess I forgot to hit record, but what I did was I broke the meat off of the ham hock and put it back into the greens, and now there's little broken up pieces of ham hock in there. And I like to save like all the collagen and the skin and stuff. It's great nutrients, so go ahead and add all that to your greens and just get rid of the bones. Alright, there's still 17 minutes left on the timer, and this has popped out. It looks pretty much done. I'm going to check the temperature with my thermometer real quick here. So first we're going to check the breast. Yes, it's right at 65. And now we're going to check the thigh. The thigh is even higher. So it is done perfectly. So there is our turkey. I'm going to let it cool down for a little bit and go ahead and dish up some of the rest of dinner. So here's the roast turkey with kale and wild rice mushroom risotto. And here's the roast turkey now that it's been cut into. And here's the kale.